On to you, Gemini. So you have the Magician, the Two of Wands, and the eight, excuse me, the Eight of Swords. So the Magician is Gemini or Virgo or Scorpio in certain situations, but you definitely showed up in your own reading. There's a need to move forward. There's a need to still take chances and move forward, regardless of whether you actually get the answer right now is irrelevant. You will get the answer to a lot of your questions a little bit later. And what I mean by that is the Two of Wands and the Eight of Swords. In the sense that you Cancer Crabs need to understand, excuse me, you Gemini, sorry about that, I just did Cancer Crabs. But you Geminis need to understand that you're just going through some growing pains right now, because the interactions that you're having with yourself and another person or other people in general, because you're not with anybody, you're very much so looking. It's not working out well for you, but you still need to actually still get to know the other person. The reason why is because it will work out for you. The only thing is, if you know what it is that you're looking for. See, the reason why it is that it seems like dysfunctional people are more successful at meeting other people and keeping them around is because they're looking for dysfunctional people. So number one, that's the majority of what's out. And number two, right, not only is that's the majority of what's out, number two, it's actually pretty easy. It's pretty easy to find somebody who is dysfunctional, as opposed to someone who, they are accustomed to doing shadow work and they make decisions that work well for them. The Two of Wands and the Eight of Swords is about, because the situation for you is, it's not like it is, I said before, it's not necessarily working out quite well, right? But it appears that way. It has to get worse before things can ultimately get better, right? And I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, with evidence. Sickness is a symptom of health, and what I mean by that is, if you want to be better, well, in a distant future, if you want to be better off, more well off, right, in a distant future, you're going to have to go through a stumbling block, trial and error right now. You're going to have to, because if you don't, right, you won't know what works and what doesn't work. You understand what I'm saying? So the Two of Wands and the Eight of Swords now is about how, since that's the case, things may seem very rough for you. And the type of people too. Queen of Wands, confrontational. The Ace of Pentacles, a person that, you're meeting people who are bosses. Right? I'm a boss. Rick Ross voice, a boss. These are the, I make that noise to kind of be facetious to them, because it's like they're bosses and stuff like this, but they don't have an empire. They don't have a business. They don't have employees. They don't actually have a working system that brings in cash to them, because that's what a business is. A business is a system. A business is a self-governing system. What is a system? A culture. That's what a system is, a culture. It's a way of doing something. It's something like a thought process that has been tested and brings a certain result. And it's done over and over and over and over again. This is why it is that, and I don't want to, sound like I'm bashing the person, but this is what Crimson Cure talks about. If any one of y'all know the Crimson Cure, Kendra D, this is what the Crimson Cure talks about, right? It's the system, order, and the structure. Well, that's what a business is. Pretty much, that's what business is. Systems, orders, and structures, right? Because it'll make sense. What I'm trying to say is that in order for a relationship to work, any kind of relationship, romantic, even business, to work, you need a system. You need which is a culture. You need something to actually create where in a way where you do this way. And because this is done in this particular fashion, what happens is it's a predictable, reliable thing that creates a certain outcome time and time and time again. But when you have individuals out here, right, this is how you run a business, but this is also how you run a relationship too. So when you have people out here, Gemini, who are hard-headed and they are too chaotic, because everyone needs chaos in them. That's the creativity. That's how you get something creative happening. But the problem with that is too much chaos, just like too much order. Too much order, boring, stale. This is where it is that we get the saying of, too much work and not enough play makes you dull, because it burns you out, tires you out, and it drives you crazy, right? It gets you to quit. It makes you feel exhausted, like what it is that you're doing is just a worker bee, right? But when you mix in a dash of chaos, playtime, creativity into it, what happens? You take one break from the other thing to now enjoy the same thing that you take a break from the work to enjoy playing, to enjoy playing and having fun and doing the things that you want or saying what you want. Not only do you love the playtime and you appreciate it more, but you also appreciate the system that you are also in that got you from unmotivated to motivated again, right? This is why everybody need breaks, right? This is why it is that I'll go disappearing for like 2-3 days at a time sometimes, right? To enjoy my own life. So now the situation with that is, the situation with that is this is what it is that you'll have, right? So now that you're now that you have met bosses, right? These are people, especially nowadays, boss is just code for individuals who don't like to listen and are too stuck up, too conceited to be in a relationship with anybody that's going to essentially price themselves out of the market of having any potential people to date, because they're so dysfunctional and hard-headed. They don't really like to get out. They don't really like to get out of their own way because they're idiots. So then now the Seven of Cups now and the Four of Cups, right? And these are people that you have met. So now the Seven of Cups and the Four of Cups are all about now you, Geminis, have other individuals that you could be getting to know in the sense that you have other options. So it's not like you not talking to them anymore, or maybe you are talking to them for all it is that I know, but you are also exercising your other options, Ten of Cups, before you decided to stop talking to them. So they came off very overly confident. You, Geminis, was like, you were kind of giving them a try. You started to see, some red flags started to pop up. And some of those red flags was the fact that those red waving flags was the fact that those individuals, like I said, they were bosses, which means that they wasn't going to listen, which means that they were very difficult to interact with, which means that they were a pain in the butt. And the Seven of Cups, you decided, you know what? It's time for you, Geminis, to get to know other people. You exercise that. Four of Cups, some of those dates went better, or hangout times, dates, whatever you want to call it, went better than trying to get to know these stuck up, boring individuals. Because that's another thing too when it comes to the bosses. You ever notice, Gemini, that a lot of those people who claim to be bosses, they don't really like to have a whole lot of fun. They, I don't know what they think this is. I don't know if they think that this is some sort of mafia movie, where it's like the person is, they act like they got to stick up their butt, so to speak. And it's just like they don't have time for fun or any of that type of stuff. And it's like even when they're supposed to be having fun, they don't know how to relax. They don't know how to relax, and they're just always just so uptight and squeezed in. That's not how it was between you, Geminis, and getting to know other options, exercising your other options, right? So because of the fact that things ended up so well between the date or the hangout time ended up so well between yourself and these other people, you Geminis is just like, you know what, since things are going so well, why are you hanging out with these people in the first place? So you stop talking to them. You stop talking to the bosses specifically. You're like, I don't want to talk to you. What's the point? Because they don't find happiness with anything. You wanted to ask them if they wanted to go-kart racing, and they had a problem with go-kart racing. There's, the Star and the Queen of Cups now is about, so you Geminis, like I said, you're still willing to date. You're still willing to get to know other people. And because of the fact that you're still willing to date, it's really a situation for you where you're going to find better quality people. Eventually you will find better quality people. Like it is, I've said before, it's not the age that squanders people's potential. That's not the age. What it is what squanders a person's potential is the fact that when it comes to dating, and just in general, friendships, people not wanting to be around them, is how unbearable they are. That's what it is. They don't make it functional and decent for other people to exist near them. They don't do that. Everything is about dysfunctionality for them. They're focused on running a tight ship. This is why it is I tell you, Geminis, that it's not about control. Because control is about running a tight ship. I'm talking about systems. Running a tight ship and a system are slightly different things. Yes, running a tight ship, so to speak, and a system are in essence both about running a system, but one is more draconian or extreme than the other. Running a system is not a heavy-handed approach. As a matter of fact, it's very much so a philanthropic, benevolent, I should say fairly benevolent, with some consequences if other people act up, do too much. But a benevolent, it's actually a sheriff or a sharif situation or an estate. There's forgiveness that's involved. It's not a Khanate, Babylonian, draconian thing where it's like it's more about hard rules and Babylonian, right? Sumerian, if you do this, Mesopotamian, if you do this, this is what's going to happen to you. So any kind of infraction will be met with extreme punishment. It's not any of that. There's a difference between that. That's what a tight ship is. A tight ship is a Khanate, draconian situation. A system is a sharifan thing. There is a certain level of forgiveness and understanding and acceptance that comes with that. But at the same time, it depends on what it is. You understand what I'm saying? And it depends on what the situation is as a combination together. So I'm saying all that to say that it's not necessarily the age that turns people off when it comes to why it is that we talk about the wall and hitting the wall, and why people, when it comes to dating, hit the wall where they don't actually get anywhere and their options suck. Their options go down because of the fact that what it is that they do as far as a relationship is concerned is very dysfunctional, and they do it when they're young, and they make that into a practice. And when they make it into a practice, this is where you get all of the dysfunctions from. So let's clarify the star card, because even when they reach to an adulthood, they still can't stop doing it. Matter of fact, let's clarify the Queen of Wands, just to kind of show you a little bit more of what it is that I'm talking about. The King of Cups, the Seven of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and then you have the King of Pentacles, right? Because this is a situation for you where you're not hanging out with people who run tight ships. You've met some of those people along the way, and you understand how stupid it is. But all it is that those people want is ultimately control. It's to satisfy their own egos. And if the money and the success and the relationship works out, great. But it's more about the control. The focus is more about the control than anything else, and needing to create some form of order, which turns out to be a warped sense. But the Nine of Swords and the King of Pentacles is about, and they treat the King of Pentacles is them, and the Nine of Swords is about not just you, but anyone that bosses the modern day version of a boss. Not the actual version, but the modern day warped, disillusioned reality of what people think a boss is, especially today. It's the idea of this. Having to treat other people like they are the prize, they are the celebrity, and those people are the groupie fans trying to get VIP backstage passes to validate, VIP, acronym for very important person, VIP. So, to get the star to pay attention. Oh, you're a very important person, even though the star's probably never heard of them. It's just a figure of speech to get the person who's wearing the VIP necklace pass to feel special. You know what I mean? Playing into their own self of importance. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that this is how those individuals who were bosses that you met want to treat people. But you, Geminis, aren't going for that. Of course not. But then you have the Seven of Cups. Four of Swords, Four of Cups, the Sun, the Five of Swords, right. You started to have fun with the other options that you were trying to get to know. And you realize the difference in it. Like, you want someone with respect and has a system and actually has something going for them. But it's also important that you have that you Geminis, and this is something that you Geminis, like I just said, starting to realize is important to you. You want someone that also knows how to have fun. So you Geminis know yourself better because of this. And this is what I mean when I say all bad relationships need to amount to something. All bad relationships, you need to be learning. At the very least, you need to be learning from a little bit of more of what it is that you want versus what you don't want. The Sun and the Five of Swords now is about, because if you don't know, that's where the problem is. So these are just something that, and what I mean by that is the Sun and the Five of Swords is about, because you have individuals that look good on the outside, right? The whole boss situation, but they're the worst type of people sometimes to interact with, because they can't turn it off. And it just goes to show you how they need help. They need help with that, because they can't turn it off. They take it too far. So and then let's clarify the Star card and let's get out of here. Ace of Pentacles, okay, the Empress, the Ten of Cups, and then you have the Three of Swords to clarify the Star card. But this is exactly what it is that I'm saying, though, right? To clarify the Star card, you have a better understanding of what you're looking for. And you Geminis know that what you're looking for is not a boss. A person can be a boss per se. They could be a boss. They could have a lot of influence, a lot of power. They could have a lot of money, but they still need to know how to wield that power. So if you're going to be with a boss, they can't fit this extreme archetype, this extreme stereotype of this tight ship that needs to be ran. It's got to be ran with a Sharif existentialism, a Sharifan forgiveness, right? A sense of softness, not heavy-handedness. And a lot of you Geminis will do the same for them. You'll show them just as much love back, but it can't be this heavy-handed approach. The 10 of Cups, otherwise you'll leave. And the 3 of Swords, otherwise they'll be heartbroken at the fact that you Geminis will leave them alone because you're not going for that. But that's pretty much it. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe. Appreciate y'all.